Hi, we're going to close out this semester with three more topics that I think are important to forestry. We're going to do an assignment on carbon sequestration. There is not a screencast or a quiz to go with that, but it's more of a project. The second one is I'm going to show you FVS, Forest Vegetation Simulator, which is a way to make models, computer modeling, forest management practices and the effects it'll have. That will also be under content. The third one is sustainable forestry and responsible forest products. And this is a way to certify forests so that the forestry done is sustainable. So this is this is private industry coming out to forests and checking. One example of that is Dovetail Partners. This is a company I learned about at an SAF, Society of American Foresters National Conference. So this is a short screencast on forest certification. Why are forests so important? One last review here. Wildlife habitat, recreation, wood and building supplies, and paper and packaging. So there's quite a few facts here, and they're all really important to understanding why it's so valuable to manage our forests properly. Why the concerns? The concerns include pollution, waste, loss of habitat, negative visual impacts, loss of special areas, negative social impacts, and conflict over management decision. Remember, the definition of conservation is wise use of resources, and that leads to conflict in different people's opinions and values. So sustainable forestry is defined here as environmentally responsible, socially acceptable, and economically viable. And remember, in ecosystem management, those were also the three circles for managing the forest today. So forest certification is a tool. It's a procedure to assess the quality of forest management in relation to the criteria of a forest management standard. Forest certification. There's way too many examples here, but let's just cover a couple of them. Responsible management. It takes the guesswork out of sustainability. It's a market incentive for stewardship. It protects diverse resources. It creates long-term values. And it influences the behavior of forest managers and landowners and rewards them for positive practices. Area of certified forest between 1996 and 2004. We went from about 5 certified forests in 1996 to up to 160 certified forests, 180 certified forests. And there's 5 different companies. Let's look at those 5 different companies. First of all, forest certification was initiated in the 90s. It started with concern over the tropics. About 18% of US and Canada forests are certified now, about 6% globally. These are the different organizations that certify forests. There's demands from paper purchases and demands for green building programs to have sustainably harvested wood. The first one we're going to look at is the Sustainable Forestry Initiative. You'll see it often as SFI. They have principles developed for certifying these forests. There's 136 million acres enrolled, and the following principles are sustainable forestry, responsible practices, forest and soil productivity, biological diversity, and these are part of a checklist that will help you go to the land and do an inventory and let the landowner or the forest industry know what they need to do, what changes they need to make in order to comply with this certification. Now, the second one is the Forest Stewardship Council. That one also is very, very huge in participation, 103 million acres in 77 countries. And again, they have principles and they're very similar. So, high conservation value forests, environmental impact, indigenous people's rights, and compliance with laws. So this is the second one, the Forest Stewardship Council. The third very common one in the United States is the American Tree Farm System. And there's 33 million acres, 51,000 landowners, 46 states. If you remember going up to Borden Memorial Forest for the Mullen eradication, he was awarded National Tree Farmer Award for the management of his land. When we saw it, it was after the fire, and so it looked quite a bit different than all those years of management. Again, they have standards for the farm system, reforestation, air, water, and soil, fish and wildlife biodiversity. So these are three of the main companies. Now, there's another thing I want you to think about, and that is that you can get a job with these people as being the auditor or training person for these companies. The role of the consumer and educator in smart wood or green wood is that you can take responsibility for looking for labels and only purchasing wood that's been sustainably harvested. You can also research the manufacturer and see where they're getting their wood from and if in fact they are sticking with the certification guidelines, and learning more about where the wood and the wood products come from. So for example, you can peel off this tag. Even Home Depot has chain of command. You can pull off this tag. You can go onto the website of the Forestry Stewardship Council and look up where that log was cut and whether they are certified. All right? So, track a product back to the forest, researching a certified company, comparing standards, and also looking at their reports and audits are four things you can do to be a responsible consumer and to support sustainable forestry. Here's the directions on how to track a product. It's totally extra credit if you want to do this. Be very interesting. And in conclusion, the big picture, it's all about knowing where your wood comes from and being a responsible consumer and citizen. Thanks.